dense forests of oak and hickory, beech and maple. The Cuyahoga River 10,000 years ago.
People moved about between the Tuscarawas and the Cuyahoga rivers. We think from the archaeological evidence that they went north in the summertime and probably went back to the southern part of Ohio or along the Ohio River to harvest those resources in the wintertime. Because the Cuyahoga Valley, for example, would have been pretty good living in the summertime. Lots of game, lots of wildfowl, plenty of fish, nuts and fruits and berries of that sort. So it was a very rich environmental study. We know that they conducted some ceremonies, but we don't have a tribal name per se for them.
Between the rivers was the watershed divide. The original inhabitants portaged the distance on a path carved from the wilderness by bison, elk, and deer.
When I first came here to Akron in 1941, I became interested in its history, its Indian history, its trails, and so on. And I found the Portage Path here was perhaps the most intriguing of them all.
Joe Jasinski came to Akron to manage Sand Run and other metropolitan parks. He has hiked the trails, the towpaths, and the riverbanks, and absorbed the history. The Indian Trail appeared on the earliest maps of the United States, including charts used by George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. The Portage Path climbed the valley and follows present-day Portage Path, past the great home of the Seiberling family, Stan Hewitt. The path is marked at Highland Square.
There you begin to see definite evidences of the path by the statue that was erected there back in the early 20s.
The people who first walked the path are remembered in another sculpture by Akron artist Don Drum. The route crosses Exchange Street, where a marker was set into the wall that surrounds the Perkins estate long ago. The portage continues along Diagonal Road, then cuts sharply through Perkins Woods and the Akron Zoo. At Worcester Avenue, the Indian Trail follows East Avenue and turns onto Manchester Road along the edge of Summit Lake.
On the upper part of a high hill there called Chervandi Hill was a favorite lookout point for the Indians, because from up there they could see for miles.
As the Indian Trail approaches its southern terminus, it intersects the Old Canal and ends at the northern edge of the Tuscarawas River.
Now, Nesbitt Lake is a natural lake, and therefore it was in existence at a time when the Indians were here. They claimed that Captain Pipe, who was the chief Indian in that territory, he had his village there, and numerous other campsites were all around the rim of that lake.
Today, the trail of the Portage Path represents one of the oldest continuous visible marks on the landscape of North America.
Made it out of local clay.
As European immigrants moved into the Ohio country, they encountered tribal groups of Native Americans. From 1785 until 1805, the portage path helped mark the treaty line of western expansion.
They forced pretty much a treaty upon these representatives of the Indian tribes. It was called the Treaty of Fort McIntosh, 1785. And they got the Indians to sign the treaty by getting them drunk and filling them with more food than they had seen in a long time.
So you see, on one side of the path, maybe if you were going south, on the right-hand side of the path here, that was over Indian territory. Over here was the settlers. They didn't dare come over in here until later on when they bought this from the Indians.
New settlers in Hudson and Talmadge feared for their lives and sought protection from the Ohio militia.